She walked into the Providence Municipal Court as if the entire place belonged to her. Diamonds glimmered under the fluorescent lights, and a confident smirk rested on her face. When the officer had stopped her chauffeur for running a red light and nearly causing a crash, Victoria Hensley didn't apologize. She laughed. She threatened the shaken couple in the other vehicle, then told the officer he had no idea who he was dealing with. And when she learned she'd be appearing before Judge Caprio, her smile only grew. But as she stood before the bench that Wednesday morning at exactly 11:30, something shifted. Her confidence hardened into contempt. Her arrogance sharpened into open disrespect. And the moment she crossed a line no one ever crosses in Judge Caprio's courtroom, he didn't raise his voice. He didn't scold her. He didn't perform for the room. He simply went silent, then delivered one single line that made the entire gallery gasp. A reminder that wealth can buy many things, but never integrity. Would Judge Caprio back down when she flaunted her fortune? Would money rewrite the rules this time? Would anyone finally tell this woman no? Before we show you the moment everything changed, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. Hit subscribe and tap the bell, because what comes next is a masterclass in justice you won't forget. The morning had been uneventful until the clerk's voice cut cleanly through the quiet hum of the courtroom. Case number 5624, City of Providence versus Miss Victoria Hensley. The shift was instant. Heads turned. Conversations died mid-sentence. A tall woman in her mid-40s entered through the rear doors, followed closely by a nervous man in a dark suit whose hands trembled as he walked. Victoria Hensley made her way down the aisle with the kind of entitled grace that implied her presence was a gift. Her handbag alone probably cost more than half the cars parked outside. Her diamond bracelet threw sharp flashes of light with every step. A calculated display that whispered, "Look at what I can afford." Reaching the podium, she straightened her designer jacket and surveyed the room like royalty assessing commoners. Judge Caprio raised his eyes from the docket. His glasses balanced neatly on the bridge of his nose. "Good morning, Miss Hensley," he said evenly. "The file indicates this involves a moving violation, a near collision, and some concerning behavior." Then he glanced toward the front row. "Officer Nolan, let's hear your account first." The officer stepped forward. His posture was controlled and professional, though the tightness in his jaw suggested this incident had been anything but routine. "Yes, Your Honor. On February 18th, at approximately 9:15 a.m., I observed a black Mercedes sedan run a red light at the intersection of Waterman and Benefit. The vehicle came within inches of striking another car, forcing the driver to swerve sharply into the curb to avoid a collision. A low ripple of murmurs passed through the gallery. Judge Caprio's eyes narrowed subtly. "Continue." "The driver of the Mercedes was Mr. Harold Grant," Nolan said, motioning to the anxious man beside Victoria. "He was cooperative, apologized immediately, admitted the violation, and expressed concern for the other vehicle. He was prepared to accept the citation without complaint." Caprio nodded. "Sounds straightforward so far." "It would have been, Your Honor," Nolan replied, his tone shifting. But Miss Hensley, who was seated in the rear, exited the vehicle and intervened. The room grew even quieter. Caprio folded his hands. "Go on." "She approached me first," Nolan continued, checking his notes. "She said, and this is a direct quote, 'My driver doesn't pay tickets. Do you have any idea who I am?'" Murmurs rose sharply, then faded. "Then," he continued, "she walked directly to the other vehicle. The couple inside was visibly shaken. Miss Hensley told them that if they filed any complaint or pursued legal action, she would make sure they regretted it financially." A wave of gasps rippled across the courtroom. Victoria's driver stared at the floor, shoulders sinking. The frightened couple had declined to press charges at the scene and left quickly. Judge Caprio slowly removed his glasses. "So threats were made?" "Yes, Your Honor. Direct intimidation. I documented everything. And when I issued the citation to Mr. Grant," Miss Hensley laughed and said, and again I'm quoting, "Tickets are for people who can't afford lawyers." Even the stenographer hesitated before continuing to type. All eyes locked on Victoria. "Is this account accurate, Miss Hensley?" Caprio asked. She crossed her arms and allowed a cold smile to edge across her lips. "Depends who you ask, Judge. I may have said a few things. People tend to exaggerate when they see someone successful. Jealousy is free, after all." Uneasy shifting swept through the gallery. Caprio's expression remained unreadable. "Officer," he said, "is there anything else the court should know?" Nolan hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, Your Honor. This is not Miss Hensley's first incident. 3 years ago, her vehicle was involved in a collision with a pedestrian, a young boy. The case was dismissed after a private settlement was reached," Nolan continued carefully. "Records indicate the family received compensation, but the original investigation file also mentions allegations of witness interference and pressure tactics." A shadow passed over Judge Caprio's expression. "Noted." He turned his attention back to Victoria. "Miss Hensley, do you understand the seriousness of what's being described?" She flicked her hand dismissively. "Judge, I understand one thing. People love drama. They love turning molehills into mountains, especially when money's involved. My driver knows how to handle the road. And as for that previous family, maybe they should have been more careful before pointing fingers." Her driver's shoulders drooped even further. Caprio regarded her in heavy silence, one of those silences that always preceded something meaningful. Finally, he spoke. "I believe we've heard the officer's report. Now, I'd like to hear yours, Miss Hensley. Please explain what happened in your own words." Victoria straightened, chin lifting with practiced superiority. "Oh, you'll hear it, Judge. But fair warning, I don't play victim." The gallery stilled. Caprio nodded once. "Neither do I, Miss Hensley." The tension tightened like a drawn bowstring as Victoria adjusted her pearl earrings and smoothed out her jacket. She didn't look like someone preparing a defense. She looked like someone preparing a lecture. "All right, Miss Hensley," Caprio said evenly. "You may proceed." She offered a thin smile. "Well, Your Honor, it's really quite simple. My driver made a minor mistake. A small lapse in judgment. Yet somehow it's turned into this absurd spectacle." "Minor mistake?" Caprio repeated. "Running a red light and nearly causing a collision is not minor." Victoria shrugged, infuriatingly casual. "Please, nobody was hurt, and let's be honest, half the drivers in this city are worse. I see it every day." A wave of murmurs swept across the gallery. Caprio shifted his gaze to the driver. "Mr. Grant, did you run the red light?" Harold Grant cleared his throat, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, Your Honor, I did. I was distracted for a moment. The fault was entirely mine, not hers." Victoria instantly cut in. "He's being too polite, Judge. I told him not to stop so suddenly. The light changed too fast. Anyone could have made the same call." Caprio's brow tightened. "You told him not to stop?" She smiled more broadly. "Yes, because I know exactly how these traffic traps work. The city loves red light violations, easy revenue, right? I pay more in taxes every year than half this city combined. I practically fund your salary." The explosion of reaction was immediate. Gasps, whispers, someone muttering from the back row. Even the stenographer's keys hesitated mid-click. Caprio blinked, slowly, deliberately. His face hardened into a neutral mask. "Excuse me?" Victoria leaned slightly forward, her grin sharpening like a blade. "Oh, come on, Judge. Don't act surprised. We both know how this works. Cities run on fines. People like me keep the lights on. So forgive me if I'm not losing sleep over one little ticket." The words hung in the air like poison. The murmuring in the gallery rose again, louder than before. Judge Caprio lifted one hand. Instantly, the room fell into silence. "Miss Hensley," he said, voice steady. "This courtroom is not funded by arrogance. It is funded by accountability. And right now, you're showing precious little of that." She smirked. "Accountability? I'm here, aren't I?" Victoria said, her voice laced with mock amusement. "I could have sent one of my lawyers, but I thought everyone might enjoy seeing me in person." A nervous laugh echoed from the back row, brief, awkward, and instantly cut off as Judge Caprio's gaze shifted in that direction. "You seem to find this amusing," he said, calm but sharp. Victoria folded her arms. "Because it is amusing. Honestly, Judge, I've been in real courtrooms, big ones over serious matters. Compared to those, this is like community theater." The room's air changed. Every person felt it. Caprio leaned back slightly, resting his elbows on the bench. "Community theater," he repeated softly, almost under his breath. "Nothing personal," she added quickly, her hollow smile unwavering. "I just mean, let's keep perspective here. It's a ticket, not a trial." The gallery reacted. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others whispered furiously. Caprio remained silent for several long seconds, studying her with an intensity that made even the bailiff shift uneasily. Finally, his voice cut through, calm but edged with steel. "Miss Hensley, I assure you, justice doesn't depend on the size of the courtroom. It depends on the size of the truth. And from what I'm hearing, yours seems rather small." A ripple of restrained laughter swept the room. Victoria's smile faltered ever so slightly. Caprio flipped open the file again. "Now, let's discuss the threats you made to the other driver." Her smirk returned, thinner, sharper. "Oh, that's a misunderstanding. People exaggerate when they're scared. I simply told them that if they wanted to escalate this into a legal issue, they should be prepared for legal consequences. That's not a threat. It's advice." "Advice?" Caprio repeated, his tone flat. Victoria bared her teeth in a controlled grin. "I'm good with words, Judge. Comes with the territory when you actually succeed in life." A low murmur ran through the gallery. The arrogance was almost tangible. Yet Caprio hadn't raised his voice once. He simply nodded, closing the file with deliberate precision. "All right," he said softly. "I think I've heard enough for now." The calm in his tone made everyone else in the room tense. He folded his hands on the bench, eyes locking on her with quiet precision. "Miss Hensley, this report indicates you approached the occupants of the other vehicle directly after the incident. Would you care to explain what was said?" Victoria's smile didn't waver. "Of course, Your Honor. It was nothing dramatic. Just a simple conversation. People today are too sensitive to handle reality." "Go on," Caprio prompted. "Well," she continued, "they were overreacting, crying, panicking, claiming my driver almost killed them, which is ridiculous. I told them to calm down and be reasonable. And yes, I may have mentioned something along the lines of, 'Don't make this more expensive for yourselves.'" A man in the back whispered audibly, "She what?" Caprio didn't flinch. "Expensive," he repeated deliberately. Victoria shrugged, unfazed. "You know how these things go, Judge. People get into minor fender benders and suddenly they want to sue for emotional trauma. I was helping them avoid embarrassment. I was being practical." Her tone was too smooth, too controlled. Caprio leaned back slightly, voice even unyielding. "You threatened them with financial consequences if they pursued legal action. Is that what you're telling me?" "Threatened?" Victoria scoffed, leaning forward slightly. "Oh, Judge, you make it sound so ugly. I advised them. I've handled these situations before. I know how quickly they spiral out of control." The words hung heavy in the courtroom. "Been through this before?" Caprio asked slowly. "Are you referring to the incident in 2019 involving your vehicle and a pedestrian?" Victoria's smile flickered. "That was a misunderstanding, and it was settled privately, as the records show." "Privately?" Caprio echoed. "Yes, the file mentions a settlement. A young boy, wasn't it?" Victoria's jaw tightened. "It was years ago." Caprio's eyes never left hers. "According to this report, the boy was 6 years old. You struck him with your car in a residential area. Is that correct?" She shifted her weight, dismissive. "My driver was behind the wheel, and I made sure the family was compensated generously. That's what money is for, isn't it? Solving problems." A wave of shock rippled through the gallery. Someone muttered, "Unbelievable. Judge Caprio sat perfectly still, his gaze hardening. Money doesn't solve problems, Miss Hensley. It hides them temporarily. Victoria rolled her eyes, laughing under her breath. Oh, please. That family got more than they deserved. Their lawyer was practically begging to settle. If anything, I was generous. Gasps and murmurs spread through the gallery. A woman whispered, "She hit a kid." Caprio raised his hand. Order. Silence fell instantly. He looked back at Victoria. Do you realize what you just said? I realize, she said coolly, that people take advantage of wealthy individuals every single day. I'm tired of being painted as a villain just because I'm successful. Caprio's voice remained even, but carried new weight. Success doesn't grant immunity, Miss Hensley. It carries responsibility. Something you seem to have confused with privilege. Her smile returned, sharp and forced. Judge, I've been sitting here 15 minutes listening to lectures. Can we wrap this up? I have real work to get back to, unlike most people here. The words landed like a slap. Gasps filled the courtroom again. Caprio stayed calm, too calm. Real work, he repeated softly. And what exactly do you do, Miss Hensley? I run a real estate company, she said proudly. We manage properties across the East Coast. Hundreds of families live under roofs I provide. So forgive me if I don't have time to babysit city employees with traffic obsessions. The judge regarded her for a long moment, then exhaled slowly. You employ people, Miss Hensley. That should have taught you something about empathy. Because right now I'm struggling to find any in your words. Her smile turned smug. Empathy doesn't pay bills, Judge. Discipline does. The air in the courtroom felt electric. Everyone sensed what was coming. Caprio closed the file slowly. Very well. You've made your point clear. He turned to the bailiff. Please bring forward the witness statement from the other couple in the vehicle. As the officer moved, Victoria leaned back slightly, whispering just loud enough for the microphone to catch. This is such a waste of my time. The gallery stirred immediately. Caprio's eyes flicked up, sharp, quiet, final. No, Miss Hensley, not a waste, a reckoning. The courtroom door closed softly as the bailiff returned, handing Caprio a thin folder. He flipped through it silently, expression calm, yet radiating tension. Miss Hensley, he began slowly, this statement from the other driver says that after your vehicle nearly collided with theirs, you approached their window and said, quoting directly, "If you say a word about this, I'll make sure you pay for it." Do you deny saying that? She laughed, mockingly. Honestly, I don't even remember my exact words. People love to exaggerate, especially when they realize who they're dealing with. Caprio's gaze didn't shift. And who exactly were they dealing with? Victoria leaned back, brushing invisible lint from her sleeve. Someone who actually matters in this city. Unlike them, or this ridiculous little hearing. Gasps rippled through the gallery again. Caprio removed his glasses and set them down deliberately. Miss Hensley, I'd advise you to think very carefully about what you say next. Victoria smirked. Oh, please, spare me the dramatics, Judge. I've dealt with bigger fish than you. The courtroom went completely still. Her driver's face drained of color. Ma'am, he whispered urgently, shaking his head. She ignored him. Let's not pretend this is some kind of Supreme Court. All right? You handle parking tickets and minor local violations. I pay more in taxes than half your city makes in a lifetime. I fund this place. I fund you. The words exploded into the room. Every eye turned to Judge Caprio, waiting. He didn't react immediately. He sat back, breathing slowly, expression unreadable, calculating. If you want, I can write the next scene where Judge Caprio delivers his one-line courtroom mic drop that completely silences Victoria and the gallery, making this the climax of the narrative. That's the cinematic payoff moment. The courtroom hung in tense silence, the calm before the storm. Miss Hensley, Caprio said softly, do you think that money gives you the right to treat people as less than you? Victoria smiled sweetly. No, not less, just different. Some of us are meant to lead, others follow. It's how the world works. A man near the back muttered, You've got to be kidding me. Caprio nodded slowly, eyes locked on her. So, let me make sure I understand. You believe your financial status puts you above the law. She shrugged lightly, mock innocence dripping from her tone. Not above it, Judge. Just a little further away than most. The gallery stirred again. People shook their heads, whispering. Even Officer Nolan clenched his jaw, restraining himself. Caprio remained composed. When he spoke, it was calm, deliberate, cutting. You know, Miss Hensley, I've spent over 30 years in this courtroom. I've seen every kind of person, the poor, the broken, the angry, the lost, and I've seen the rich too. But rarely, he paused, leaning forward slightly. I have seen someone so proud of being heartless. The words struck like lightning. Victoria froze. Her smirk faltered. I understand arrogance, Caprio continued. But what I see in you isn't arrogance. It's emptiness. Because when a person truly has power, they don't need to remind everyone of it. The gallery fell completely silent. Every word cut through the air like glass. Victoria's jaw tightened. You're trying to humiliate me, aren't you? She said, a tremor in her voice betraying her facade. No, ma'am, Caprio replied. You've done that yourself. The line hit like thunder. Even her driver looked down, covering his face. For a moment, Victoria said nothing. Then she let out a dry laugh, voice trembling slightly. This is absurd. I came here for a ticket, not a therapy session. Can we be done now? Caprio nodded once. We're getting there. But before we are, I want to address something clearly. He picked up the old report, the one involving the boy. You say you've been through this before. You're right, but you didn't go through it. You bought your way out. And that's not justice. That's cowardice. The courtroom murmured louder. Victoria's eyes flashed with anger. You have no idea what that situation was. I don't need to, Caprio said, voice hardening. I know how you handled it. The same way you handle everything else, with money and intimidation. She stood abruptly. You can't talk to me like that. I just did, Caprio replied, calm but unshakable. The audience gasped again, some even chuckling in disbelief. This whole thing is a joke. I could buy this courtroom if I wanted to, she shot back. Caprio leaned forward slightly, voice a quiet, deadly calm. And yet, here you are, standing in it powerless. The room went still. The faint hum of the lights was the only sound. For the first time since she entered, Victoria didn't have an answer. Judge Caprio rested his hands on the bench, calm voice carrying weight. Miss Hensley, I wasn't planning to revisit your past today, but since you brought up how you handle things, we need to talk about the incident you mentioned, the one involving the young boy. Victoria shifted, smirk returning but eyes flickering defensive. That case is closed, Judge. Years ago. It has nothing to do with this. Legally, yes, Caprio nodded slowly. But morally, that's a different story. He glanced at the file, then back at her. According to this report, your car struck a 6-year-old boy named David Johnson on Elmhurst Avenue in 2019. You were a passenger. Your driver lost control. I already said that, she snapped, folding her arms. Yes, Caprio replied softly. But what you didn't mention is that your lawyers paid the family an off-the-record settlement. They didn't press charges because they were told the boy's medical expenses would be fully covered. She smirked faintly, which they were. So what's the problem? The problem, Caprio said, voice tightening, is that the payment wasn't about helping them. It was about silencing them. The family was warned. Speak to the media, and the settlement would be revoked. Her tone turned sharp. Objection. That's not in the official record. No, Caprio said, locking eyes with her. It's not, because that part was handled through threats and intimidation. The investigator who took the original statement resigned 2 weeks later. The family moved to another state within the month. Convenient, don't you think? Her jaw clenched. You have no proof of that. I don't need proof, he said quietly. I have a pattern. Her eyes widened. He pressed on, calm, deliberate, merciless. I've seen this kind of behavior before. People who think money is a shield. They break the rules, buy forgiveness, and convince themselves it's fine because no one ever tells them no. Well, Miss Hensley, today, someone is telling you no. The gallery was frozen. Not a whisper, not a breath. Victoria swallowed, trying to regain composure. This is absurd. I came here for a ticket, not a therapy session. Can we be done now? No, Caprio said firmly. You're here because you never learned what consequences feel like. Every time life tried to teach you, you paid your way out. But not this time. The words hit harder than any raised voice could. For the first time, Victoria looked smaller. Her chin dipped. Her bravado cracked under genuine authority. Caprio sighed quietly and leaned back. You know, Miss Hensley, I often say the law is here to correct, not to destroy. But people like you, you've spent your life thinking the world bends to your wallet. Today, it doesn't. Her voice dropped to a whisper. So what now? Caprio looked down at the file before answering. Now, I decide how much of this lesson you'll carry with you after today. The gallery remained utterly silent. Every person could feel the shift. This wasn't about a ticket anymore. This was a lifetime of arrogance finally meeting its reckoning. For a long moment, Judge Caprio said nothing. The faint buzz of the fluorescent lights above was the only sound. Victoria shifted in her seat, clutching her purse tightly, her face pale, though her smirk stubbornly lingered. Finally, he exhaled and spoke, voice soft but heavy with quiet authority. Miss Hensley, I've been on this bench for decades. I've met every kind of person you can imagine. The angry, the poor, the broken, the arrogant. But you are something else entirely. She tilted her chin, forcing a smile. I'll take that as a compliment. It's not, Caprio said sharply but controlled. The room stilled. Most people who stand here are scared, not because of the fine or the ticket, but because they know they've done something wrong. They feel guilt, regret, a conscience. But you wear your mistakes like jewelry, proud to show them off, certain that money and status make you untouchable. The smirk vanished completely. You threatened a young couple after nearly running them off the road. You bragged about buying silence from a family whose son you hurt. And now you stand here laughing, as if this courtroom, these people, and the law itself are beneath you. Her driver fidgeted nervously, looking like he wished he could disappear. Caprio's eyes flicked to him. This man beside you, your driver, had more decency in one moment of honesty than you've shown in your entire testimony. He took responsibility immediately. He apologized. You mocked him for it. Victoria's jaw tightened. I didn't mock him. I didn't. Caprio raised a single hand. Enough. The silence that followed was absolute. The courtroom seemed to hold its breath. Every soul present acutely aware that justice had, at last, stopped being patient. Judge Caprio took a deep breath, his tone softer but full of quiet authority. Miss Hensley, wealth and status do not define a person. Character does. You can own mansions and cars, fill a bank, but without empathy, you have nothing. Her eyes flickered. For the first time, she seemed uncertain. I don't envy you, pity you. Somewhere along the way, you decided kindness is weakness. Humility is for the poor. But humility keeps a soul alive. Arrogance devours it. The courtroom hung on every word, dead silent. He leaned forward, voice low, deliberate. You could have taken responsibility, apologized to the people you threatened, showed that money hasn't erased your humanity. But you didn't. You mocked, laughed, and reminded everyone just how far you've strayed from decency. Victoria's gaze darted across the bench, searching for a defense. Caprio continued, almost whispering, I can't give the boy back his childhood, nor erase the fear you caused, but I can ensure your actions have a consequence you cannot buy your way out of. Silence stretched for a heartbeat, then 5, 10, 15 seconds. Every eye in the courtroom was fixed on her. Finally, he spoke. One line, devastating in its precision. Money buys comfort, not character, and never immunity from consequence. The courtroom erupted. Gasps, murmurs, soft exclamations filled the air. Victoria's face went pale. The line hung like a verdict carved in stone. Scattered applause began, slow but steady. A teacher whispered, "That's what our kids need to hear." An older veteran nodded. "Money doesn't make you better. It shows who you really are." A young mother whispered, "I hope my daughter remembers this. That's real accountability." Judge Caprio let the moment settle, then pronounced the sentence clearly. Victoria would pay the full citation, compensate the near-collision couple, contribute $10,000 to Providence Children's Hospital, complete an 8-hour defensive driving course, perform 30 hours of teen traffic safety community service, and write a formal acknowledgement letter to the threatened couple, all within 60 days or face license suspension. Victoria froze silent for the first time. Caprio's final words struck. "This city doesn't need your money. It needs your decency." The room exhaled together. As Victoria exited, heels clicking reluctantly toward humility, the gallery felt the courtroom's calm restored. Judge Caprio leaned back, eyes on Officer Nolan. "Good work," he said. Then he addressed the citizens, calm and meaningful. "Some walk in thinking justice is a game. Money, status, or connections cannot bend it. Justice humbles those who underestimate it. What we saw today wasn't about a ticket. It was about the danger of thinking you're untouchable. The law doesn't care who you are. It cares what you do." A rare, powerful pause followed. Then, almost softly, "All right, next case."